Hello and welcome back to the boat sheet. This is another virtual boat sheet because we're locked down in France, hundreds of miles from the boat. We've had to delay the round Britain trip. That will go ahead, but we'll come up with a new plan once the COVID-19 emergency is over. So please subscribe to see the pilotage videos and practical cheats that we will be posting then. Today, we're looking at getting off the dock against a wind blowing you on and using a twin engine boat. The technique here is additional to what the RYA teach in the level 2 powerboat course for bigger boats and twins. That's all excellent and correct. And the techniques here should be used only once you've mastered the basic technique advocated by the RYA. However, the technique here is really useful if you're short-handed, single-handed, or perhaps with a new crew who are not confident at slipping lines without delay, making springing off less desirable. And it also looks really cool. Another reason it's not taught in the level 2 course as a primary means of getting off against the wind is that it doesn't work the same for all boats. So a catamaran or a twin engine monohull with propellers in front of rudders will work as shown here. We'll make a separate video to show what happens with the stern drive and to give you a technique that works for that. The technique is simplicity itself. Before you start, turn the helm fully towards the dock. A little bit of friction on the wheel is useful so you can let go of the wheel, but don't put so much on that you can't easily override it when you need to. When you're all ready to go, get the line slipped, leaving the most windward breastline until last. And as you can see, we've got a headwind as well as a crosswind. So in this example, we're going to take off the bow breastline last. When the lines are all slipped, put the engine nearest the dock into forward idle and the other engine into reverse idle. Let's have a look at the forces that we've just set up by doing that. The port engine is left of the centre line of the boat, so its forward thrust vector creates a turning moment to starboard. The starboard engine is right of centre, so its aft thrust vector also creates a turning moment to starboard. The port forward thrust and the starboard's aft thrust cancel each other out so that the boat doesn't accelerate either forward or aft. However, the turning moment to starboard remains. The rudders are also creating forces. The prop wash from the port engine creates a strong thrust vector to starboard. This force is aft of the centre of gravity, so this creates a turning moment to port. The starboard engine, drawing water past the rudder, creates a very small thrust vector to port. This force is aft of the centre of gravity, so it creates a very small turning moment to starboard. The large port rudder thrust vector to starboard is only slightly cancelled out by the very small starboard rudder thrust vector to port. This leaves a residual thrust vector to starboard. The larger turning moment of the port rudder works against the turning moment of the engines, while the smaller turning moment of the starboard rudder works with the turning moment of the engines. These three combine and result in a slightly smaller turning moment to starboard. Let's now look at what these forces are going to do to the boat. So we'll put them back where they belong over the boat. So the boat's now going to move away from the dock and turn slowly away from the dock at the same time. If it doesn't move, then the force of the wind is greater than the residual thrust vector. So simply increase power little by little on each engine equally until the boat starts to move. You might end up with a lot of power on. As long as the boat's not moving fast, that is fine. If the boat starts to drift forwards or backwards with the elements, simply increase thrust a little on the appropriate engine. Once the bow is well clear of any other boats or obstructions, simply put the engine that was in reverse into neutral and increase a little on the engine in forward. This keeps the boat tracking gently into the wind to avoid being blown back to leeward. Steer where you want to go, and finally bring the other engine into forward gear and away you go. Quick summary. To move the boat sideways against a breeze, turn the helm fully towards the dock. Let go all lines. Set the engine nearest the dock to forward idle and the other engine to aft idle. If the boat doesn't move, increase power on both engines a little at a time until it moves. If the boat moves forward towards an obstruction, increase thrust as necessary on the engine in reverse. If the boat moves aft towards an obstruction, increase thrust as necessary on the engine in forward. When the bow is well clear of any obstructions, set the engine in reverse to neutral. Steer as required, and then set the engine in neutral to forward as required. Hope that helps. We will be doing another video similar to this one discussing stern drives. In the meantime, to help us make more boat cheat films, please do click subscribe. We promise we won't use your data, we won't contact you, and we won't pass on your data to anybody else. Thanks for watching.